raise your hand if you want to speak, and we'll have you stand up, tell Mandy who you are, where you live.
Mark Leineman. I picked up a copy of the budget a week or so ago, so now your new numbers are going to mess me up a little bit. But in any case, the first thing I wanted to ask about was the position of the dog control budget. Part 1, P1, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That the actual dog control in 2015 was $15,660.
So can I respond to that for you?
Sure.
The dog control officer is one of our shared service items. So what we have is an increase in dog control, but we get about half of that back from Marbletown because we share the dog control now.
Well, the adopted budget in 2015 was $14,811.
We get half that.
Pardon?
We get 12,500.
The Kennedy budget in 2015 was $17,395.
That's what was actually spent in 2015.
Right.
Not the budget.
Which was over the adopted budget by $2,584. Now in 2017, the figure's going up to $26,000.
Right, but he's covering 2 towns now.
That's $500 a week.
It's not one person, it's 2 people.
Whatever it is, it's gone from $17,395 to $26,000 in a matter of 2 years. That's a 73% increase. It doesn't seem like it's a proper number. You know, what's going to happen with next year? From under 18,000 to 26,000, I'm coming up with 73% increase.
Well, we had a very big increase in workload. We had a lot of dogs in the kennel, and so some of this is not just for dog warden work, it's because we have to have someone else come in to help with the kennel care, because the dogs are in the kennel for long periods of time, sometimes 3, 4 dogs. And so the dog warden is not the only person taking care of the kennel. So we have another person who's working in kennels, and that's why we have that increase.
There's a request in the budget for X number of dollars, and you're actually giving an increase, more than what they're even asking for.
The request this year was $25,049 for the personnel line, and we're getting 26.
Right.
Because
So
it wasn't enough to cover the budget.
This
It
is
wasn't enough.
this is to add hours for the deputy dog control officer for kennel care. We've had a full, it's just, you know,
We're over budget in 2016 because of
It
the
just
kennel
says-
needing so much care.
it's it's kind of beyond the town's control, because we've had seasons where we've had an empty kennel, but we've had pretty much a full kennel. Or
At least 4 dogs all year.
yeah, and so they need care, and we really can't.
Were these dogs put to sleep?
No.
No?
No, we
Well,
don't. We have a
I'm
policy
looking
against
here on
that.
your revenue for the dog control. In dog licenses in 2015 was $2,421. This year, you're only expecting to have revenue of $2,000. You're going down $421 on revenue from dog licenses. So there must be fewer dogs around.
It's just an estimate, it's just an estimate, it usually always goes over the estimate of what comes in. That's,
Yeah, well, you're lowering it. And then
It's better to be conservative on revenues than,
the dog fines in 2015 were $1,080. And you're telling me you had dogs in the kennel locked up. I would think there'd be more fines.
No, because those are dogs that are abandoned. That's the difference. We have dogs that end up in the kennel because people, abandon them. They're not coming in and paying a fee to retrieve their dog because they're dogs that have been abandoned,
And
so,
you're finding homes for them.
and we're working on
Right.
finding homes for them.
Right, we actually just, we're gonna be setting up an
We
adoption
just,
committee.
we established adoption committee because it's definitely a problem, and we're working to try to resolve that, but it's,
Well, you're-
you have to take care of the dogs, what are you gonna do?
The fines and penalties in 2015 was $1,080. This year, you're budgeting $800. You're anticipating.
Because the budget is based on what you see, okay, if I see that the numbers have gone down, I budget based on what the numbers are. So if I see that we're bringing in less money, then I have to budget the next year based on so if in the past 10 months, if we haven't been bringing enough money to cover what we've budgeted in our revenue, I have to lower it for the next year. So that's how we do
I
it.
mean, you don't see it here, but it's the actual for 2016 versus.
No, that's 2015.
No, but I'm saying you budgeted
I
based
based
on
on the actual, not on the budget.
Right.
So I go by what's happened in the last 10 months, what kind of money has been brought in, and if it's not enough, I can't put the same budget in for next year, because it's not gonna cover it.
You make up the 26,000 is the budget that you put up, or Marbletown comes up with that number and you give them half, or which way is it?
Well, for the salary of the dog control officer, we negotiate basically half of his time for just dog control. Kennel control is a different law, is basically a different budget. So even though they're combined in there, we have to take care of the kennel separately from retrieving. They have their own kennel, okay? So they have their kennel, we have ours. So we have to take care of our kennel, they have to take care of ours, but we share the dog warden, who's the person that gets the call to go retrieve a dog or take care of any kind of,
The cost of the kennel comes out of that 26,000?
yes.
Well,
No, not the cost of the kennel, the cost of the care of the kennel based on the personnel. So, the dog warden is, you have the dog warden, and then you have a deputy that spends, I think, more than 10 hours a week to take care of the kennel.
I think it'd be nice if that could be separated, so it's.
They don't have it, there's not a separate line for that, unfortunately. The only thing, you see, the dog, it's the duties that they have, it's just the duties have increased because we have a kennel to take care of.
It's shocking to see the number going from,
I understand.
Right.
But we also ran in the red, okay? When you look at those numbers, we ran in the red because we had so much problems, because we had so many dogs, and we couldn't just say, we don't have it in the budget to take care of the dogs, so we didn't take care of them. What you only see is what we budgeted, but we ended up having to spend more money because we had to have more people come in and take care of the dogs, because we had so many dogs. So, that's kind of something, what are we gonna do? People are dropping dogs off, we have to take care of them.
so it works out that there's $500 a week being spent between two people. Somebody.
Two people, but one of those salaries is the dog warden, and half of his salary is coming from Marbletown. You only see the expenditure, the revenue is that $12,500 of that budget is coming back to us.
And where do I find
That's
that?
Actually, it's $12,700
It's
going
in the budget, but in the revenue page.
It's combined with all our shared services with
okay.
Marbletown. If you look under, there's a bunch of things that we have some personnel that we share with Marbletown, and they pay us for, half of that person's salary, or someplace, it depends. I can tell you what line it's in, and it's in the 2,300, or the 20, it's 2,300 and 2,301.
What page?
Page 6,
So if
service other government.
you pull that amount back out of,
And you can see the huge increase from 2016 adopted to 2017. That's getting increased because we're doing more shared services, so. And, was there something else you had to ask
Yeah, I
about?
did.
Okay.
Before I add up the budget about the pool,
Yep.
would you clarify for me about the CE part of the appropriations for the pool?
Okay. CE is the,
Gone up a whole bunch there.
That's the, like, how to run the pool, buying, you know, chlorine and things like that, any kind of mechanical things that need to be paid for, any kind of, you know, materials that have to be bought for the care of the pool.
There's nothing special in there paying off a debt or something?
Not on that line. There is a line, for bonds, under bonds.
All right, well, I was just working on the pool thing.
Mhm.
You're up $55,000 or something there?
I added $50,000 because we have under, pool C 7150.4, I upped it 50,000 because we know, I mean, whether we spend it all, I don't know, but I'm anticipating some engineering costs for the bathhouse. We got a grant of $300,000 to rebuild the bathhouse, but we have to pay engineering costs. It may be $25,000, I don't know, but at this point, I'm trying to make sure we have enough in the budget. That should go down again next year, because that's a
Right.
one-time expense.
Which line is that in?
That's in the pool
Pool
CE you
contractual.
were asking about.
I'm sorry.
It's in the pool CE that you were just asking about.
So that figure would be more realistic as far as maintenance, it's the same as last year to keep the pool operating.
Right,
There's a figure in there for engineering.
correct.
Okay, so that messes my numbers all up.
Yes, so once that comes out next year, that will not be in there.
Okay.
And the other thing I want to point out is the operation of the pool went up, but the revenue for the pool went up too. We brought in about $62,000 this past summer in pool revenue, and I'm anticipating about 82,000. Let me see if I can find that.
Well, I did a little
82,000,
math.
huh?
I did a little math today,
Mhm.
and I was thinking of the pool being open 13 weeks, 91 days, and your personal PE, is that personal or is that personnel?
Personnel.
Personnel. It comes out to $6,230 a week for personnel, and which comes out to $890 a day for personnel. And you're anticipating revenue of $82,000. That's with the $22,000 increase over 2016. So the revenue comes in at $901 per day. They give you $11 per day profit. If you didn't have to put chlorine or another $35,000 into maintaining the pool. So the pool is operating in the red.
Well, you're absolutely right, the pool does operate in the red. I don't think we ever thought that it wouldn't. We didn't operate in the black before, when it was a pool before, but I will point out there is one other revenue line, and that's for the concession stand, and that is, let's see. That is other rec income, 2089. I estimated $14,000, which is very low estimate. That's if we made $200 a day in the concession stand, we would get $14,000. I would have to just double, you came up with an estimate on running the pool, and I do not think our numbers match, because I think we are talking about more days than you are. You're saying 3 months. That would be June, July, August. Is that what you were thinking?
Right, 13
Yeah,
weeks.
I know we're going to be starting opening on Memorial Day weekend, so I think we came up with a little bit longer time, but even still, there's no question that, we estimated to bring in $60,000, we brought $62,000 in this past summer. Based on, what we brought in this past year, I think we can count on close to 82. We may get more, I don't know.
Where's this 14,000 coming from?
It's from the concession stand. There'll be a new concession stand this summer, so there'll be revenue from that.
And I just want to also point out that the pool, you don't see it under pool, but it helps boost enrollment in summer camps as
Yeah.
well, which brings in revenue for the youth program.
Yeah.
So
Somebody is gonna pay $14,000 rent?
No, $14,000 is us, part of our staffing that you saw is to run the concession stand. When you look at pool, it's the lifeguards, it's the cashiers, and it's the concession stand staff. And then they run, what I'm conservatively saying will make at least $200 a day. But that's like less than $1 a person. We have like 300 people a day. You know, you're talking about probably more than $200
It's likely.
a day.
Okay, so it's
Likely it will be more.
14,000 from the sale of goodies.
Yes.
I wasn't figuring that in my numbers, and there was also doing the numbers with
50,000
the 78,000 for contractual expenses, which isn't fair because a lot of that is a one-time
one-time expense.
item. But in any case, I wound up making a comment.
Well, we hope you can swim next time.
I'm
I
gonna
will,
shoot
I will
myself
tell
in the-
you that, you know, a lot of hours went into crunching numbers, both with our rec director and, you know, with other staff members, trying to make sure that we cover everything that needs to be covered. You know, and we talked, and the board talks at length, I think we had 3 meetings on pool fees and how much we should charge to balance what we need for revenue and to be able to make it an affordable pool for people to attend, so.
Well, in any
try to
case,
make it.
you do agree that it's working in the red.
I would have to say that the pool's working in the
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So I'm
not
gonna
say-
shoot myself in the foot again,
Yeah.
and do like Donald Trump, get in trouble here. The overhead is much higher than the revenue, the statement I'm making. Both expenses and revenue would be reduced by limiting the number of days that the pool is open. The expenses per day are greater than the revenue. Perhaps the pool could be closed a couple of days during the week. Our transfer station is open on a part-time basis, or,
No, it's
well,
full-time.
pardon?
It's not on a part-time basis.
It's not 7 days a week. All right, it's not a limited schedule. And I think that the town can cut its losses by closing the pool a couple days during the week, find out which days are the slowest days of the week, and cut the pool back to 5 days a week, or less. You're making money on the weekends when everybody's off, Saturday and Sunday, and during the week, you're probably losing money.
Well-
I would like to see it cut back.
Would you be okay with cutting back in January?
Well, I was gonna make a comment that maybe we should heat the pool, and we could put a cover over it, and
That
when
would
the
be
kids
great.
are off for Christmas vacation and spring break, we can go swimming some more.
Yeah, that would be
Maybe
great.
we'll do something like that.
Okay.
Put some hot tubs in for the senior citizens.
Yeah? Be nice.
I don't
That's
see-
more investment though, pool.
I think closing it during the week too, though, the day camp, use it every day. Monday
Campers
through
and-
Friday.
and swimming
I
lessons.
think they'd have to do something else.
You're cutting down on the enrollment for that.
Yeah.
You know, if they can't learn this swim in a couple of days a week,
Well, we're looking, I mean, we've been working hard and we'll continue to work hard on the revenue side, to increase the revenue side through snacks and other things. I think the board all feels that, you know, a huge community effort went into restoring the pool because I believe it's an important public benefit.
this is true, but I think it'd be easier to lower the overhead. Cut down on the overhead, and you'll be in good shape.
Well,
You're gonna make money on Saturday and Sunday, provided the weather's okay. If you wind up with a cold season and people don't come out, you're gonna wind up with a tremendous deficit.
well, when it's cold, people are not kept on all day long. When you have a rainy day, they're let go. They don't work all day when we have a day like that.
Well, many years ago, from what I understand, the lifeguards was like a union. It didn't matter if it rained or not, they got paid for
No,
that.
this
we don't
past
have
summer,
that.
we
This
sent
summer
them.
closed on the rainy day.
when we had a rainy day, they closed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can promise you that we're not closing the pools during the week. I'm sorry. It's not
But
gonna
also,
happen.
but also that we continue to look for ways
Yes,
to improve
Yeah.
revenues.
but we also, you know,
Under advisement.
Yeah, we are,
Those
we've
good
been,
comments.
for instance, we added something that had never been done before, a morning lap swim, early morning lap swim, that is, you know, and just we're adding programming and
Ways to-
food and other things that.
I think our revenue from the concession stand is gonna be much higher, but we had to be conservative since it's gonna be our first year and we don't really know exactly, but there's no way we're gonna only make $200 a day. People are gonna spend more than that. When you have that number of people there, they're gonna spend the money, so.
Public comments.
So we're gonna move on. You got anything else before I move to the next
Yeah, I
person?
got one more.
Okay, go ahead.
But somebody else might think it's.
Well, I just want to know about the concession stand. I don't see a concession stand. What are we talking about?
The little building inside the pool, it's right there next to the bathhouse, is gonna be the concession stand.
It wasn't open last year.
Oh, so
This
there
past
was
year.
no concession
No,
stand
No,
last year.
this
Right,
is for
it's
this
the-
But
year.
this year, we may or may not have it.
We
The plan is
Right.
to have a concession
Yeah.
stand.
And would we pay an employee to man the
Yes,
concession stand?
part of the expenses that you see in there are the people that work the concession
And
stand.
in the past, the concession stand, wasn't that contracted out?
In the past,
Sometimes,
long
right.
before, you know, I worked as a supervisor, there had been contracts in the past. That's one way to handle it. We decided that we're gonna try manning it and seeing how we do.
Okay, because in the past, years ago, they had to pay a fee to run the concession stand.
Yes.
That was guaranteed revenue.
Yep.
Now we're going to do it ourselves.
Well,
Oh.
we're gonna try it.
You might make more that way.
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna get more than 14,000, from,
Yeah, 'cause the revenue when the person rents it, I don't know from experience, because I work there, so anything that the concession stand made, the place took. So
Right.
we just paid rent and that's all the town got. They didn't get any revenue from any of the money we took in.
Right, but the rent was
remember what the
guaranteed.
rent was?
Yeah.
Do you remember
It was
what-
like $200. It was really low.
$200 for what?
A month.
$200 a month is what
Yeah,
the
Right.
concession
it
stand
wasn't,
used
it
to
wasn't
rent.
very much.
So,
So you
And then-
figure 3 months, $600.
Right. I don't know if have you ever been to Moriello Pool in New Paltz? The
Not recently.
Well, their concession stand is like mobbed, you know, all the time, and just kids eat all the time, especially when my kids do, but so do other kids when they've been swimming in the pool, and it just we expect. I mean, we were getting $1,000 a day just in day passes on average, people using the pool in that short season last summer, and you know we can expect a lot of.
So we already done research about what's required for Ulster County Health Department to open a food concession stand. We already have that squared away.
We haven't done that yet, but we'll be doing it. We know that we have certain things that we have to do. Anything else? Yes.
Ted Dixon, Benny Road. Just to be clear, page 2, the line item supervisor total, that represents what?
Represents me, my assistant, and the deputy supervisor.
3 people?
3 people.
3 people. What is, you had mentioned before about being competitive, that people don't leave and go someplace else. I'm assuming that you're not gonna run for governor, so you'll be here for a while. So what's the, I was looking at the numbers from 2013, and
13?
that
13?
was,
You said 13?
yeah, I was looking at the rate of increase of that number,
Okay.
and it was like 61 and change, and now it's proposed to be 85 and change.
I don't know what numbers you're looking at because I don't have anything from 2013.
Supervisor, it was supervisor total. In other words, the 15 number is 73, the 14 number was 67, and the 13 number was 61 on the older budgets I looked back.
Oh, you went back and looked it over?
So I just want to see the rate of increase. I'm just, so you mentioned about being competitive in terms of salary. What struck me, what I found interesting, just noticing in terms of it going up, which is not my issue, is that the board members weren't going up at the same rate. And I was just wondering what the thought was in terms of the rate of it going up, and does it slow down every year, or will it go up the same rate, and where we're trying to go with that?
Well, I'm not going to deny that I've asked for a raise, and that in the past, I had been pretty much being paid like a part-timer, working 60, 70 hours a week. And at some point, I felt that it was, put in my time. I'd like to see something closer to what other supervisors that work full-time get, and that's where that came from. In the past,
What's
most,
that number?
40,000.
No, relative to other supervisors, what's the number?
Supervisors make anywhere from a part-time position in the 20,000 range to 50, 52, 55, so.
And the board?
The board can be a big range too. Every town is different. It's based on what the town decides, the board decides, so.
And then
We,
cost of living.
yeah, the only thing that they got was a cost of living raise every year.
Because they don't work as hard as you?
I think they all work
All of
very
them.
You work
hard.
very hard.
Who get a raise? Where's the raise?
I'm
I'm just thinking, I just understand what's the
comfortable
thought process
that I
that.
have.
Yeah.
I think we
I'm
felt
not
that.
saying you don't deserve it, I just want to understand.
I think we felt that the town board was making comparable to, what typically is paid for a town board member, and, the issue that in the past supervisors probably maybe had a second job, and they came in half a day, that kind of thing. I typically work, the first 2 years, I worked 60, 70 hours a week, and made, I can't remember the number right now.
Oh, I think everybody understands.
It was very, very
It's
low.
full-time for you.
It was more than full-time, double time, and I was making it like a part-time supervisor. And did that for a couple of years, and, I think it was 2 years ago, I asked for a little bit more, and this year I asked for a little bit more. I still work at least 50 hours a week, so, there's a lot to do, and I think that at some point, you have to be able to be compensated for what you're doing, and I enjoy working for the town, I'm glad to do it, but a lot of my time is basically donated, so I just felt it was time to get some kind of compensation.
And this line also represents taking care of staff that work
Yes.
above and beyond what they've been getting paid.
Right.
So, this was, as we already said, across the board, kind of the year to bite the bullet and do the best that we could for everybody, since we were being forced by the governor to bring everybody up a bit. We wanted, that gives us, well, I see it as license to try to do our best for everyone. And you
there's
didn't ask
still a
if
lot
I'm
of.
running for governor, so I'm a little upset.
Yes.
My name is Ron Giordano, and I'm in Tilson. And I'm a taxpayer. And I want a break. Exceeding the tax cap, no. I'm opposed to it. If we're having some budgetary problems, have we ever thought about reducing the workforce to have a balanced budget? I am on a fixed income, and I had to make sacrifices and reduce expenses. But to exceed the tax cap because school's not profitable, because we want to get raises, or whatever, we have to stop the insanity sometime. And I understand the town board, and you're doing a great job, and I know Rosedale is a Woodstock wannabe, but let's get real. We got to look out for the constituents, people who are actually paying the bottom line. I asked you to review the budget, consider reducing the workforce to make the budget meet. And it's a tough call. But we all have to make tough calls. And that's what we're being paid for, to make a tough call. So, whether or not we like it, we have to do something, because this is insane to keep on increasing because the governor made a mandate. Fine, reduce the workforce to compensate for the mandate. We live in New York State. We're a very liberal area. But I want some sanity reinstalled here. We use excuses for everything. Well, the government made this, well, we have to meet OSHA requirements. Well, OSHA requirements is federal mandate, I understand that. Police, why are we training all these officers, Perry doing the training of them, only for them to move on, you know? Now Perry wants additional policemen full time. How's our crime rate in the town of Rosedale?
We did not approve that, sir.
Well, I'm just saying though.
But I
There's a
think-
lot of things going on in the town that an average citizen's not aware of.
So I will just say that my experience is that we have a hard time keeping up with the services that the public demands, even with the staff level, the level of the number of people that we have. There's a huge demand to get things taken care of, and sometimes when you don't have enough staffing, you don't have the revenue that those staff bring in, because you don't get your fees or your things paid for that they have inspections and things like that. So some of the staffing decisions are based on things that keep getting put on the back burner because we're short-staffed. So you have to it goes both ways. In some ways, we don't get the revenue that is coming into the town. We don't have the staff to do the work.
Which brings me back to the question about how much property is off the tax roll.
That I don't know. That's.
But I think we should review that and do an assessment and see who's off the tax roll and why. There are a lot of properties, I know, open spaces, parades, they're off the tax roll now because they gave it back to the town, didn't they? No, they're paying taxes?
They're non-for-profit. They don't pay taxes.
Oh, so that's off the tax roll now.
Yes, it is.
And the Rosendale Theater, that's off the tax roll too, was.
I don't remember if they are or not.
They are.
They are.
Yeah. But I will tell you that, that's just not something that the town, at the town level, town government doesn't have control of that. I wish we did, but we don't.
Well, all I'm asking the town, at the town level, is review the tax rolls and see who's off the tax roll and see if it's still valid for them to be off the tax
Well,
roll.
that's our assessor's job, so we can,
And the
he does
assessor
that.
reports to you, doesn't he?
Yes, he does, but that's something he does all the time.
Well, I would suggest that we reinforce that and review it, because I think there's a lot going on here.
Are you thinking that there's people that are off the tax roll that are not supposed to be off the tax roll?
I'm thinking that there are organizations who are off the tax roll that are really questionable whether or not they're truly a benefit to the community.
Well, if you have something that you'd like to report, you can give the assessor a call.
I mean, if they have I'm
If they're
not-
non-for-profit, we don't have, they
they're
have
a
to show proof.
501c3 organization, that's the IRS that oversees that status and reporting, and, it's definitely beyond the town's
Okay.
authority.
Last question. Ready? Here it comes. To override the cap, do you need a majority vote of the taxpayers?
A supermajority
Of the board.
of our
Of the
town-
board,
Town board.
not necessarily the taxpayer, but of the board.
Correct.
Excuse me, I'm done.
Supermajority. Well, that's unfortunate.
You cannot please everyone with a budget. That's just the way it is. And I feel for people because property taxes are not the way to fund schools. They're not the way to fund local governments. And the way the tax structure is set up, it pits seniors against parents with little kids. It divides communities, and ultimately it, really penalizes people that have moderate incomes but own property.
Do you want
Can't-
property tax or school tax?
Property taxes fund school and local government, and,
Assessment.
yeah, so, it's just, it's not, it's a perverse way of
You know,
funding.
I also think we need to talk about the tax cap. We're going to go into a public hearing about that, so, but the fact is that budget, with, funds that, we don't have anymore to balance the budget. So the tax cap is only gonna work for so long before it's not sustainable, and we've hit the wall. And it's not sustainable anymore for us, and I think you'll see that other communities are having the same problem. It works fine for communities that maybe had millions of dollars in their fund balance. They're using that money to be able to balance their budget. We can't do that. And, the other side of the coin is for many, many years, the town of Rosendale did not repair their infrastructure. And, do we want to be a town that, needs to, that can't function, can't have new businesses if you don't have good water and sewer? We have to fix the infrastructure in the town to make it work.
That's not the things that are affecting the general budget.
The general fund this past year and the pool is affected, but, a lot of the things we've done, we've brought in a lot of money to do these things too, over $7 million in grants have been brought into this town in the last 5 years. And we're still working on those projects. But, at some point, there are some things that cost, but if you look at the percentage of increase at 3.41, and you go by percentages, it doesn't transfer to numbers, okay? In some towns, that might be a lot of money. In our town, it's $93,854.
Where is 3.41?
That's the new proposal that I just brought in,
First page.
on the front page.
Okay, yeah.
The overall
On
increase.
the overall increase is
The
3.41.
grand total, see the grand total?
You can't use that number.
Okay?
You cannot blend all these numbers together.
That's how they figure out the tax cap,
That
okay?
can't be done. You cannot take lighting districts, people are not in a lighting district, they're not in the sewer district.
That's not how it's done. I'm sorry. That's the way the state figures out the 2% cap. They
Right,
go by-
you can discuss different budgets, but overall, when the tax cap when the
You're
state
taking
looks
these
at.
big numbers from the lighting districts and the water fund and the sewer fund, increasing your big number, and those numbers
No,
need
we
to work for the
didn't.
water and
Those
sewer.
numbers haven't gone up. So they didn't affect the budget at all.
Increase on that.
They didn't go up. They're the zero increase.
Right.
So they didn't affect
go
the
up,
budget.
But you add them dollars in to your grand total,
What?
and that's how you come up with a lower number.
Did you have a question?
No, we just wanted to say thank you for letting us come in and kind of see how this works, and also just
We're
making
not
sure
storming
we're not.
I mean, it's a fact that the general fund, you've changed it now, but it was at 6.11%. You can't change that down to 3.41, that's what the general fund is up.
Yeah, but that's not what the 2% cap, which is 0.6 right now.
0.6.
That is the cap for the total budget. It has nothing to do with whether the general fund, it doesn't matter. That's how it's calculated,
I'm
okay?
not talking about the 0.6.
Okay, we were talking about the cap. That's what we were talking about.
We're talking about, you come up with 3.41.
3.41 is the increase in the budget. That is the total increase in the budget. That is the
The town's
calculation.
whole budget.
Marty, I'm sorry, but that's the way it's done. I'm sorry if you don't agree, but that is the way it's done. That's the way they calculate it, okay? And that's just it. That is the fact. You can't change that. So anyway,
What was the original question?
But what's
Well,
your,
the thing is, people are not in the water and sewer fund, and you got that down at 3.4%, but that isn't for everybody. A lot of people,
Right.
they're not in that
right,
system.
but it's just the way the state does it. Like, it's part of the tax cap law. They
Yeah.
take the total of the general fund, the highway fund, and all of the special districts and add it together and.
if we had an increase in the water fund, let's say, because of something that had to be done, that would affect the whole budget too, okay?
Right.
It just and only those people in that
Well,
district would be affected.
It shouldn't, it sounds like there's a mistake being made
It isn't a
somewhere.
Right.
mistake. That's the way the
Right.
state,
It's the way
that's
it's
the
done.
state does
It's
it.
a crude way to do it, but
Right,
it's the
it's
way.
a strange way, but that is the way it's
Yeah.
done.
Or is that the way people have been doing it for years, and
Yes.
just copying it from the
No.
previous year?
It is the way it has to be done.
And, yeah,
Yeah.
and-
I wouldn't attempt to defend the state's logic. We're just
right.
abiding by
Right.
what we
Well, you
have
have
to do.
to adopt a budget you know, and we have hearings on the water budget and the sewer. There are separate hearings for those districts and those budgets. It's just for purposes of the tax cap, they calculate it that way.
But if you tell people you're going up 3-point-some-odd% and you're not in the water and sewer
Yeah.
district, that's not correct.
I understand, but that's
Anyway,
just the way
I
it's
got
calculated.
another one.
It's there in black and white, you can figure it out by looking at it, but that's what the tax cap is about, okay? That's all I was saying. But I just wanted to point out, you know, we do have a 93 or 96 if you want to go by just the general fund, plus, you know,
All right, I'm gonna use the old number because that's what I wrote.
let me just finish what I'm saying.
I'm sorry.
The assessor has told me that that is equivalent to about $21 per $100,000 assessment. So if you have a house that's $200,000 assessed, you're gonna get a $42 increase.
Well,
That's
we're
basically,
fortunate- We're fortunate the value of the community has gone up.
well, I'm just saying, I'm just giving you a more understanding what those numbers mean per capita.
If you were saying it's gonna go down $1 per thousand, I'd be happier. But in any case,
So would we.
I got your general fund, tentative general fund for 2017 off of this sheet as 2,721,510. If we go back to the actual general fund account from 2015 of $2,104,035, the general fund is going up $617,475 over 2 years, because it was a big increase last year, and now you're increasing again, so it's 29.3%.
I don't have those numbers in front of me, so I don't, you know, I have to trust you.
29.3% increase for the general fund over 2 years. That's a hefty increase. And a good portion of that is related to the pool, not all of it, but a good portion of it.
Yeah, but that money was taken out when the pool closed too. Gotta look at, the money was taken out when the pool closed, and now it's being put back in.
You budgeted a whole bunch of money in 2014 for 2015, the pool didn't open, so you collected all this money in taxes that you didn't need, but then you didn't spend it either because there was no lifeguards. But you collected money from the taxpayers in 2015 for a closed pool, so you should have had a tremendous amount of money left over, probably, I don't know, 60,000 or something.
I have to go back and look
I
at
don't
what,
believe we did budget,
yeah.
we didn't staff the pool.
We
when
didn't,
for
we
those
didn't
years
budget
when
to
it was
staff the
closed.
pool that.
So the budget had dropped by the pool staff. But
We
the
didn't
years that the
budget
pool
for
was
it the
closed.
previous year.
The way I'm looking at it,
That's my question.
Ted?
Mr. Heineman, could you pause one moment? We'll just take one more question from the back. Ted?
The 3.74 increase is roughly, based on the 4.5, is roughly around $170,000. What, hopefully not jumping too far ahead, what might Rosendale, assuming, again, that there may be an increase next year, necessary increase, whatever, or let's say not, what might Rosendale look like in a year from now to offset the $170,000 increase that may be normal to do, to such that we don't affect the homeowners and stuff next year?
I
Is
just
something
wanna-
happening to bring in revenue and normal
Right,
and
so
stuff?
one thing is there is a bump up in wages that are happening this year that you're not gonna
Yeah.
see every single year,
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
So that accounts for that increase, you're not gonna see that same increase, you know, it'll go back.
So the government-
Cost of
the
living
government can actually-
increases
the government-
of
The state can
2%.
actually stagger that, it won't happen next, it
It's
won't,
So-
70 cents over the next 5 years.
how much?
70 cents an hour over the next 5 years.
Each year.
And then,
Each year.
they haven't decided from then, but up until $15 an hour for minimum wage.
Right,
Right.
but we.
Each year. So
Each
that'll
year,
affect,
yeah.
but that'll affect, that increase will affect the budget next year.
So,
Yeah.
Right now, this year, we're just trying to get everybody
Yeah.
to
Okay.
basic.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm saying, but, so Do you see stuff happening next year?
Well, I think things will go down a little bit because we have the $50,000 that we budgeted for the pool, which we're
Okay.
not gonna need
Okay.
again, because that engineering is gonna be done. And then
We also had a band,
huh?
the band.
It's in there for this year.
Right.
So this year, we also added, so some of this stuff, you know, we had increases, but we still were able to make cuts to help balance it, or we increased revenues to help balance it. So even though, you know, it doesn't look like, you know, there were things that went up
Mhm.
and things that went down. So when you have increased revenue, like from the pool or whatever, from building permits, fees for, you know, different things, and then you have,
You see those coming next year?
I see those coming next year.
Transfer station, we're looking at.
We're looking at raising our revenue from fees, and next year, that increase, the 70 cents, will only affect the lowest paid employees, the summer help and those kind of employees. It won't affect the regular staff. We felt we couldn't really make that change because they would be the same. But now that they're kind of closer to what everybody else in other communities are getting paid, there's no reason to give them that bump up again. But we will still have to stagger those payments for the lower employees, the summer help. But that 50,000 is gonna, you know, is not going to be there either, so that would be a big difference.
Also, without specifics, just in general, each department was asked to target additional revenues, cost savings, and there are a number of ideas that have come back to us that we're expecting to see
You really
improve
see-
things over the next year.
You really see that, I mean, there's no question that 100,000 includes, now I'm bringing it down to 96 or whatever, but that
That's a big
whole
difference.
number is really about the bond and the engineering. The engineering will go away, the bond will stay, but you know, that's where that $100,000 is probably, you know, close to that is the increase in those, you know, that needed to be done.
And there's a 265% increase on servicing the debt? What is that for?
There's a band for the pool
Is that what that
that,
big chunk is at?
that we're paying this year.
Do you know what page or line that we're talking about?
Let me see if I can find it.
It's on page 6.
Page 6?
So we had a couple of things
Yeah.
happen.
Page 6, that's.
We have
Yeah.
the
Total
bond.
debt service. Page
Where-
6, on top.
Total debt service, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, what is
Yeah.
that?
So that's any loans that we have, which is our bonds. So we have a bond that was pre-existing, that was the repair that was done when we built the rec center was part of it, and then we had a huge repair on River Road. It was 1-point-something million, it was quite a big number. We recently refunded that bond to bring down the payment and to bring down the debt on that. But then we have the pool bond, which is also needs to be paid. And so what you see there is those entered into there because they weren't in there before.
And next year, that percent goes way down next year. on budget.
No, that will go down. That
The
part.
percentage?
The percentage will go down because that's a bond that you pay each, the percentage is the same all the time. But we didn't get the bond yet, or we're paying, I'm estimating the payment, but we didn't get it. It'll be done in December, so I'm assuming, this is what I'm assuming based on talking to our financial advisors, what they'll be. The one bond that we did refinance went down probably close to $8,000 to $10,000 a year less by refunding it. So that helped balance it a little bit. Any other questions? Yes.
I didn't shoot the look like it. So I was saying earlier that the tentative budget, general fund, is $2,721,000. In 2015, the actual general fund was $2,404,000, a difference of $617,000 over 2 years. That's a 29.3% increase in 2 years. That's without a lighting district or sewer district.
Jane, can I just, we had last year a 22% increase in health insurance, and this year we're estimating a 10% increase. Those are two big numbers that added to that.
I'm sorry, what?
Last year, we had a 22% increase in health insurance, and this year it's close to 10%, so that gets added into that too.
Well, this year's increase is small compared to last year's.
Yes.
You look at it that way.
I didn't use that as one of the reasons, even though it did have an increase.
But there was 145,000 minimum of reductions in different people's budgets in the general fund. So you got that $145,000 back, and you still have an increase of $90-something thousand for this year.
100,000. Oh, because I told you, it's, a lot of it has to do with the pool and the bond. So the engineering's $50,000, the bond is $50,000. That's 100,000 right there.
In the meantime, 144,000, 145,000 people reduced their budgets. The playground, for instance, $32,000 lower for equipment. Employee benefits are down almost 17,000. Workman's comp is down 9,000. A bond anticipation note is gone for 39,600. You don't have to pay for elections or something, or it's down $8,200. Your telephone bill is down 4,000. Auditing is down 4,000. Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency is down 8,000. Comes to $145,000 without getting into the little ones. Granted, a lot of things went up, but you would think that the budget would be someplace close to even, the revenues versus the expenses.
What you're seeing is a lot of effort going into trying to figure out how to cut back on some of these budgets, so to balance it. So I
Well,
don't,
close the pool a couple days
Some
ago.
things go up, some things go down.
we didn't leave things status quo and just add on the new expenses. We cut back where we could. So.
It's $100,490 above the 2016 adopted budget, even after the $145,000 is removed.
Some of the things like the,
There's a lot of minuses in the budget that people put in there, and unfortunately, other things had to go up. But it's a big number.
That,
So, this sounds all good, but is there, we got a lot of stuff off the table, we got the pool done, we got the water done down Main Street. The next, if any big ticket item for next year that has to be done is anything? Is there something on the table?
there's a couple of things.
Big, like not that big?
Uh,
At some point, the sewer district.
The building,
the
piping.
infrastructure in the building. in the
you said at
street.
some point?
Well,
Wow.
we've been approved for some things, and we just don't have all the details yet on what that'll mean. But yeah, it has to be done.
But
That's it?
that's also something that we pursue.
And I've been, working on grants for that. And we have one of the things,
That's being done.
some signage improvement was some of the things that we were just talking about earlier on before we started.
New York Horizon.
You know, we have,
yes, New York Rising.
yeah. We have several big projects happening, but we've gotten a lot of grants to take care of some of those, so.
Well, the New York Rising projects are going.
Not completely fully funded, because we have those engineering costs.
Yeah. But, I do want to just reiterate that, things fall apart in a town. And,
I fall apart.
right, we all need maintenance, but, we've had some really major improvements to the town, and we have more major improvements coming, and it's a trade-off, if you can have no budget increases, but then, you don't fix things. So at some point, and with the pool, we spent a lot of money on the old pool year after year after year. And at some point, just had to stop and have a real fix.
Except that we didn't have a choice, it failed.
Right,
It was a
right.
structural failure.
Right, I'm just saying that things,
Yeah.
you can be
I
sucked
mean,
dry slowly, or, which is what happens with failing infrastructure over the years. And, I know you're not in the water and sewer district, and this pertains only to water and sewer
She's in the
customers.
water.
Oh, you're in the, okay, so, but, those districts were created with, through huge federal funding programs that, funded water and sewer infrastructure across the country. And then that funding source was just cut from the federal budget. Now, everyone across the country, the infrastructure is old, and it's all failing at the same time. And there's like no funding for it. And this has been plaguing this town for years, the water and sewer, and it was a huge accomplishment to get the funding that we did get. But, it's just, there are costs to this. And
Which we only got because of people that were working above and beyond what they were being paid to do.
right?
Including my colleagues who went door to door to do the surveys, to prove the need. So, this is all
Right.
Yeah, I also want to
Time back,
mention,
yeah.
go back to when I first took office in 2012, within 6 months, the lift stations in the sewer district failed, literally failed. Stuff fell in on itself and had to be emergency repaired. The pool failed, okay? Now you have so you have 2 assets in the town that failed. You had numerous breaks in the connections to the main line over every winter since I've been supervisor, and I know it happened many times before that. We're spending thousands of dollars every time that happens. You have to repair things. And then you have we had things that were mandated that we were getting fined for. The closing of that Binning Water Dam. The DEC was threatening to fine the town $500 a day if we did not deal with that dam. And it
On
was-
Big Water?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
I
another
remember.
failing infrastructure that people are not thinking about, but it cost us money to fix it. And we ended up making the choice not to repair it, but to basically decommission it. Still needed some work, we used a lot of our own manpower to make it cheaper. We had to pay for engineering, we still cost us money. And those things were really forced on us based on years and years of neglect. And I have letters and letters and letters saying, this has to be done, this has to be done, and it just got ignored because nobody wanted to raise the taxes, which I understand. Nobody wants to raise taxes. I pay taxes. I don't like paying taxes. But we also can't have a dam breaking and flooding 5 homes either. And so you can't just ignore those things. We also had mandated training that wasn't getting done, and we were threatened to have a $200 a day fine if we didn't get a policy in place. It took us hours and hours and hours, cost money to get all those things done and to get the training done as an emergency situation. So, and it's been an emergency situation all along. We started out with a town hall that every single supervisor before I became supervisor was trying to find a plan. How are we going to build a town hall? Can't build a town hall because we don't have any money, right? But we were working in an unsafe, unhealthy environment. People count money, people walking over them to get to the counter,
That went unsafe because you had to keep the files on the outside walls so the floor didn't fall through, which we were told was the case.
Yeah. So, nobody likes that, but, we're talking about the services, what the infrastructure is. If you let the infrastructure fail over all those years, something's going to give. And guess what? On my term, it turned out that everything failed at the same time, and everything got dumped on me. So instead of working as a part-time supervisor, I'm a 70-hour-a-week supervisor. And instead of just saying, oh, let's just keep it status quo, no. How do I find money to get this fixed? How do I find money to get that fixed? I could have elected to say, we have no choice. We're hiring engineers to do all that. We're hiring grant writers to do that. Instead, Gil and I stayed up, on weekends and nights writing grants, okay, to get the money for this town. So I just want to say that